Come on, Alex. Come on. I can't do this. Okay. Get up. Okay. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Days of Darkness, and welcome to my review of Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. This one came out in 1991. It's starring Robert Englund, Lisa Zane, and Sean Greenblatt, and was directed by Rachel Talalay. This is the first time when I got done watching this, I couldn't really comprehend it. And no, I'm not saying like, oh, this is some super intellectually stimulating fucking movie. No. I'm saying I've seen worse movies, obviously, but like, I don't think I've ever seen like a major franchise entry. You know, your Halloweens, your Texas Chainsaw Massacres, your Friday the 13th, so on and so forth. I don't think, from what I've seen, I don't think I've ever seen a major franchise entry with zero redeeming qualities. This movie is a fucking cartoon. It's not a horror movie. I will say that right now. And, you know, I'm not someone who scares easily. You know, I'm not. I watch too much of this shit to really be rattled by anything. But, like, I would be really curious to show someone like my nephew. Like, he's 10. And I genuinely don't think he would be scared by this whatsoever. Like, this movie is a fucking gag. It is a cartoon. There's no soul here. There's no heart. They didn't give a shit. The writing's bad. The movie visually looks fucking horrible. As always, God bless Robert Englund. I'm not insulting the man himself, but Freddy fucking sucks in this. Like, the shit that they give this character to do. This is one of, if not the most iconic horror villains of all time. Like, he's on the Mount Rushmore. There's no doubt about that in my mind at all. He is on the Mount Rushmore of horror, especially 80s horror. So for them to take this legendary character and just fucking neuter him and make him just this joke. I felt insulted watching this. And I've determined this is the first time I've seen this movie because I would have remembered. I've heard about how bad it was. I've watched some people review it, yada, yada, yada. But this is something, and I'll say this here as well. This is something that needs to be seen to be believed. If you're not a person who values your time and you're willing to sit through about an hour and a half of just dog shit, I highly encourage you watch this movie because it's something that needs to be seen to be believed. Guys, I try not to be super negative on this channel. You know, I try to find some good aspects here and there about movies, even if I do not fucking like them. There's nothing. There's nothing here, dude. I will never fucking watch this movie again. There's just nothing. You know, so unless you're running a YouTube channel or you just have an hour and a half that you just do not give a fuck about, then yeah, sure, watch Freddy's Dead. And then lie there in a state of just bewilderment as I did, because I literally, guys, I laid there in my bed and I was like, I'm never gonna get that time back. Granted, it's worth it to be able to sit here and talk to you guys about it, no doubt, but like, I would have been fucking pissed if I wasn't watching this for a review. If I was just watching this with my leisurely time, something of which I do not get a lot of anymore, I would have been fucking angry. Like, I would have genuinely been like, I would have asked for a refund, which doesn't make any sense because this movie came out in 1991. But like, I'm rambling. I'm very clearly rambling. But we gotta get into the spoiler section, guys. This is usually meant to be a spoiler warning, as in like, if you want to watch the movie, click off now, but just stick around. We're gonna rip this shit apart. Anyways, let's go ahead and spoil the shit out of this motherfucker. Alright, spoiler time. Your ass has been warned, as if you gave a shit. Let's just hop right into it, baby. Start out meeting our main protagonist. At least we're led to believe is the main protagonist. John Doe. Who? That's the first big red flag. Number one, we are in a world, I guess it's supposed to be 10 years after the whole Dream Warriors trilogy stuff with, Alice and the Dream Warriors and the Dream Master and the yada yada yada, Jacob and all that weird fucking shit. And yeah, so this just completely drops all of that. It doesn't overtly say that it didn't happen, but it's pretty much saying, yeah, all those people are dead now. Who cares? Okay. So, yeah, man. And then we're just in a world where all the kids in fucking Springwood are just dead. They're all gone, except for one. And that's our main hero. That is the guy we're supposed to root for, John Doe, who's fucking awful. Oh boy, he is not good. We don't learn anything about him. There's nothing, and it's supposed to be like, oh, I don't have any memory. It's lazy fucking writing is what it is, but he doesn't have a memory, and we don't know shit about this guy. We never learn anything about him. So when he dies, it's the spoiler section again. Like, you give a shit. There's nothing. We don't feel anything because it's just this fucking guy. So yeah, he has this nightmare. I'm gonna very loosely translate this. He's in a plane and he he has to switch his seat, and then looks at the lady next to him. He's like, I'm afraid of heights. And then the only like remotely even kind of funny scene, a bit of dialogue in the movie, fucking lady looks at him and goes, don't be a pussy. I'm like, that was fine. That's the redeemable part of the movie. That one little, don't be a pussy. Which is what I was telling myself because I was hesitating to watch this piece of shit. And, I was just like, don't be a pussy. Yeah, so she gets sucked out of the plane. He was like, I was almost out. And he ends up getting put into this house, and the house is falling out of the sky. And how we are introduced to Freddy Krueger. Now, this is a moment in your film where you have a very legitimate opportunity to strike fear in the hearts of your audience, because this is your main villain. This is the guy you're supposed to be rooting against, or or at least you're supposed to know that this guy means fucking business. Coffee break. He is introduced to us impersonating the Wicked Witch of the West, a Wizard of Oz bit. A little fun fact about me, I fucking adore Wizard of Oz. Didn't win me any points here, nonetheless. you introduce your, which granted they did that in Dream Child too, but at least it was like Freddy-esque ish. This is just fucking horseshit, dude. And I'm in danger of this being a long review, and it really doesn't have to be. So the opening dream sequence is shit. He does not kill John Doe, and also something I have to address here real quick. The dream rules and the rules about Freddy Krueger and all that shit, they're just fucking gone. They're just out the fucking window. Nothing matters. Nothing matters. It's gone. All of it doesn't matter. Like, I bitch about it here and there and all of the movies up until this one. But this one just literally just pisses on it. It just does not mean anything. Doesn't. So yeah, we then find out that, you know, Freddy is using John Doe to bring me more children. You know, that Freddy shit. And so yeah, because he's run out of children on Elm Street and in Springwood. So I feel like this movie just kind of makes shit up as it goes along, because we get the thing later that, like, oh, every town has an Elm Street, which, yeah, it's a cool line, but clearly you've eliminated all the children in Springwood, and the town of Springwood does not just include Elm Street. It's everywhere. So why the fuck would that stop you from doing anything? Whatever. So yeah, man, he finds himself at this troubled youth facility house, which, you know, on the surface, and I'm talking right here, and you go any bit below, it sucks. But that's a cool setting for a nightmare movie. It just, none of it takes place at a troubled youth center. And you could say, like, yeah, it's kind of a ripoff of Part 3, and I would agree with you. But, you know, it's unique enough. But and then we get introduced to the characters, and it just shits all over it. We get the kid who's, you know, a rebellious rich boy who does drugs and shit. And apparently in this movie, weed is like a hardcore hallucinogen, which it's not. So I don't understand. I'm thinking too much about this, clearly. Which I'm guessing they were not intending on people who have ever smoked marijuana to see this movie, I guess. It's like, what the fuck? Because anyone who has ever smoked weed would just look at that and be like, no. No, it's not how that happens, I'll tell you that. We'll get into that later. But yeah, man. So, you know, all the characters here suck. There's nothing to them. You know, and they're not the only ones. Our main fucking character, John Doe, there's nothing to him either. You know? And I say that he's our main character, he's not even the main character. They all get their one little thing, and then that's it. I don't give a shit about any of these people. It's just, they're just there. And they get picked off rather quickly, and that's it. You know? And I know that's a pretty low blow, because there's not a lot of character development in a lot of slasher flicks. I hesitate to even call this a slasher flick. But there's a way to do shallow characters well, and this one misses the beat entirely. Anyways, so we discover through one of the people working at the facility, played by Lisa Zane. I don't know the character's name. I don't fucking care what the character's name is. But she gets some information of John Doe, and they decide to go to... The therapist tells her to go and try and find out the origins of John Doe so he can jog his memory. So I guess that just somehow leads him to Springwood. Well, you know, because that's where he's from, I guess. I mean, we never really see him in Springwood. We do, but we... Um, so they go to Springwood. It's revealed that the three troubled youths, those wacky kids, stowed away in the back because they wanted to get away, and they, slam on the brakes. They all come tumbling out. Whoa, fucking whatever. So then we have our ensemble group of troubled teenagers and just this adult who are in a very, very weird Springwood. We're supposed to believe that this is Springwood. It just doesn't look like it at all. They filmed this, I imagine, just at some local campground where you can set up a tent, and they just fucking built a fair there, and they just called it Springwood. And then we get some stuff later where there's like more buildings and stuff like that. It does, man. It looks like shit. The set design in this is not good at all. But yeah, man. So then eventually the group gets split up. The three teens go their own way. And then the adult, Freddy's daughter, and John Doe go the other way. I don't give a shit about saving the twist because it's fucking stupid. So yeah, man, they end up going to a house and they slam the door and the door bleeds a little bit and it's the nightmare house. Ooh. And fucking it's Nancy's house all the way from part 1. Can we get away from the goddamn house? No. So they go to sleep. Carlos is like, "Oh, I'm tired." And there was a scene I didn't even mention where they keep just driving around in circles, which I'm like, are you even asleep? Like, how is Freddy doing? It doesn't matter. It's fucking gone. All of it's just gone. So yeah, man. So they all go to sleep. And here's my question. Freddy thrives off of fear. He thrives off of people knowing and fearing who he is. How the fuck are these kids affected by Freddy Krueger? They don't know who Freddy Krueger is. They have no fucking clue. Maybe there was like a shred of some little anything that John Doe said, but like there's never a scene where he explains to the other teenagers what Freddy Krueger is or anything like that. There's nothing. It's just, they're in Springwood, so that automatically means Freddy Krueger should be able to get to them. No. That's not how it fucking works. That's not how any of the Freddy lore works at all. I'm saying all of this implying that they even gave a fuck about the story. They didn't. They slapped together a cheap-ass, fucking suck-ass shit movie with, they slapped on horrible Freddy Krueger makeup on the Robert Englund and shuffled him into this poor fucking guy. I'll admit here, Robert Englund's not given a whole lot. I mean, fucking clearly, he's not given a whole lot to work with. And he's not. There's nothing in this movie that's good. I doubt he was even remotely motivated at this point. I fucking wouldn't be. But yeah, not very good in this one. And that's just being fair. But anyways, it's just a shit movie that they slapped, Freddy's gonna die in this one, implying that he didn't die in literally every other Nightmare movie up until this point. So why the fuck this one would be the big one, I don't know. But yeah, man. I just went on a total side tangent there. Anyways, so yeah, these kids are somehow being stalked by Freddy Krueger, and they end up, getting picked off. Carlos gets picked off pretty quick in a pretty solid little. If I had to choose, what's my favorite scene of the movie? It's that one, I guess. Even though it, again, doesn't make sense. He sticks a fucking ear cleaner, even though everyone now is like, that's not what you're supposed to use them for. Fuck off. That's just a side tangent. I hate when people do that. Anytime I'm using those things, they're just like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. I'm like, I fucking know, dude. Just leave me alone. Anyways, so he sticks one of those things that is like that long through his head. I'm like, that would kill him. That would kill him, but whatever. So yeah, man. And then we get some cool shit with like his hearing aid, and we'll get into all that and kill the film. But yeah, man, so Carlos dies, then we get the stoner kid. I don't know his fucking name. I'm not gonna bother looking it up or thinking about it too much past this point right now. So he gets high. He gets high, man. He fucking lays on the couch and he's, again, experiencing like hardcore hallucinogenic effects from marijuana. No. So, and a whole lot of shit that you can pick apart with this movie. That's just the tip of the iceberg. But anyways, I won't harp on it too much. And, you know, he gets sucked into a video game because he's shown to be playing video games at one point in the fucking movie. And so that's just the crux of his fucking death. And, you know, his dad is like, oh, I want you to be more like me. And so that's a big part of it. Fucking, it's horrible. It's the worst. I will say, I will say this right now. It's the worst death scene in a horror movie I think I've ever seen. And without a doubt, the worst in the Nightmare franchise. That's easy. But even like the big four, you know, Leatherface, Michael, Jason, and Freddy, it's the worst out of those. It's bad. You just get all these weird, wacky effects, and like, is he awake? Is he asleep? Who gives a shit at this point? And he's fucking spinning around, and like, it's a literal cartoon sound effects, like all that fucking bullshit. It's all there. And he's like twisting around, his head's going up into the fucking scene. It's bad. And then he just falls down the stairs into this big ass pit. That's it. So yeah, those two are dead. And then we get the reveal where John Doe thinks he is the son of Freddy Krueger. He's just like, oh, it's Kay Krueger because the Krueger child is missing. Even though I'm almost positive that like it's shown to be a girl. Like the entire time, it's shown to be a girl. Am I fucking nuts here? I'm almost positive that like, because it's like, oh, Krueger girl missing or Krueger child missing, and it's like, it's a fucking girl. Maybe I'm going nuts, but like, that's pretty apparent to me. But whatever. So John Doe thinks it's him. He thinks he's the son of Freddy Krueger. He's not. It's past this point now where they go back to the... Well, no. At this point, they go back to the youth hall. It's just one of the troubled youths, Freddy's daughter, and Freddy's not son, John Doe. And they go back to the troubled youth center, and apparently Freddy just has the ability now to delete people from reality because they talk to them about the two boys and no one knows who they are. Not sure when that came up. Also, the fact that when these guys die in their dreams, their body just evaporates. They just become one with the Force, apparently, which has never been a thing in this franchise. Again, they just didn't give a fuck at all. So, yeah, man. Not fucking cool at all. So, and you know, that's just kind of blurted out. Again, I feel like they just made shit up as they went along. And like, this is supposed to be the grand finale. This is supposed to be the big shebang, and they just fucked it up. And they knew they fucked it up, so they put it in 3D for the last 10 minutes. It's just bad. So we get the last girl, the blonde girl, who's like a kickboxer, and she's just generic badass girl, whatever, fine. Um, she has a nightmare where her fucking uh, her fucking like dad or her like stepdad or whatever sexually assaulted her, which is not shown in the movie, thank God. But even with it not being shown, this movie does not deserve to go to that territory at all. But they go there, of course, and I cannot remember if at this point John Doe is dead. I'm pretty sure he is, and I should probably talk about that. But yeah, John Doe has another nightmare, and he is revealed to not be the child of Freddy, and he was just waiting for him to lure Freddy to his daughter, who's the lady working at the fucking yeah. So again, I'm jumping around. You get it, and especially if you've seen the movie, you get my fucking gripes. But yeah, man. So she has her nightmare, and fucking we get the backstory of Freddy's wife finding whatever she finds down in the basement. It's all these different claw gloves, and that was actually kind of cool. That was cool seeing like different, like him experimenting with different kind of gloves and razors. There's one with like just nails on the knuckles, and like that was pretty cool, not gonna lie. Again, just trying to fucking suck any type of positive energy I can possibly get out of this. This is the gloves were cool. That's where we're at, people. But yeah. So we get that little backstory, and eventually it all just comes together. The therapist, who I've mentioned maybe once in this entire thing, because he just doesn't matter. He's just an exposition dump guy. That's all he is. And he, alludes to the fact that, oh, you can pull Freddy out of his dream and he'll die that way, which is treated as some big revelation. It's like they literally did that in the first movie. And Freddy literally said, like, oh, they've tried doing this, they've tried doing that, they've tried doing this, and none of it worked. Because he just laughs throughout this entire movie. So, like 90%, not 90, but like 50% of his dialogue is just, but yeah, man. So, they have the plot to pull him out of the dream, and they do. And we get just the big death of Freddy Krueger. It's, she throws like a ninja star and pins him to the wall. She has a fucking crossbow, and she just uses all these different weapons to fucking pin him to the wall. And, in a pretty fitting little thing, she stabs him with the glove in the gut a couple times, lights a stick of dynamite, sticks it in his chest, and blows him up. And, of course, he has to get one last one-liner in there. He's just like, kids, and then he fucking blows up. Get this weird little 3D bullshit at the end there where he's like... like his head flies to the screen, vomits another head, and then we get these weird worms. I glossed over, like, she sees some of the backstory of Freddy Krueger, like him as a kid and him as a teenager and just all that bullshit. Doesn't matter. Don't even know why I brought it up. It's all stupid anyways. We get a cameo from Alice Cooper, which is kind of cool, I guess. But yeah, man. And then, they all pal around, and she just says the line, Freddy's dead, and the movie ends. Guys, this movie's a piece of shit. I can't, I'm trying to be funny and joke about it. I'm trying to be entertaining, and I think I'm doing an alright job. But, there's really not a lot else to pull out of this one. So, let's go ahead and just get into my motherfucking kill of the film. Stick around. I realize I totally fucked up my bit of like saying like we gotta get into the blood, the guts, and the gory bits. There's really none. It's like this movie can't even do that right. The kill of the film does have a nice little bit of blood, if you want to call it that. Yeah, but no. So the video game death sucks. It's just awful. We get a couple. Freddy's death is terrible. Yeah. The John Doe death, where he gets cut from the parachute and falls into a bed of spikes, has potential to be somewhat visually entertaining if you're a sick fuck like me. But like they couldn't even cut it right. They couldn't even edit the fucking. He lands on these spikes and he like lands on it like a mattress. And yeah, it's like a split second, but like it's plain as day. Like these do not impale him at all. He just boop, and they even let a little bit of reverb show on the screen. And then not reverb, but like recoil, you know what I'm saying? And then they cut it. And like he's like, oh, and in the real world or whatever. Uh God, fucking terrible. And all of these deaths are followed up by, besides Freddy's, they're all followed up by like, oh, evaporating and just becoming one with the Force. Never been a thing. Never should have been a thing. So yeah, man. And then we finally get the kill of the film, the best kill that this one has to offer. It's Carlos. It has a lot of cheesy shit leading up to it. Like, his mom sticking the fucking thing through his ear and all that shit, and like just stupid. But the idea of Freddy, they even make this cartoony because he like makes the chalkboard like super big with his hands. He's like, ooh, and like he's literally like making cartoon faces as he does this. But he sizes up the chalkboard and it scratches his nails on it, and Carlos is deaf, and Freddy took his hearing aid, gave it back to him at a certain point, and he Freddyized it so it like sticks into his head and makes his hearing super sensitive. So then he just, rakes across this fucking chalkboard and his head blows up. It's nice to have a little head explosion in there. That's all good. Like, cool. It's really not bloody at all. Looks like they blew up like a fucking styrofoam head almost, but it's something, So there it is. Freddy's dead. It sucks. Anyways, so we are never going to talk about this movie again on the channel, so I hope you enjoyed it. Actually, no, that's wrong, because I'm going to do a ranking video soon on the Nightmare franchise, and I give you a wild guess where this one's going to be. So yeah, Freddy's dead. Don't watch it. Anyways, next time on Days of Darkness, we are going to be talking about a significantly better movie. We are going to be talking about The Lost Boys. I'm really looking forward to that one. Easily, like, one of my favorite vampire movies. And I just fucking dig it a lot. So, I'm looking forward to watching something good. But yeah, guys, Freddy's Dead fucking sucks. Don't watch it. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Take care of each other and keep watching horror. Take care, guys.